The Vatican City, a place of grandeur, faith and mystery. Its towering structures and sacred spaces draw millions of pilgrims and tourists each year. Enclosed within the bustling heart of Rome, it stands as a beacon of Christianity, a symbol of power and intrigue. The Vatican's influence stretches far beyond its walls, touching lives and shaping history. Behind its ancient walls and beneath its hallowed grounds, secrets whisper through the ages. These corridors have witnessed centuries of history, both glorious and grim. This is no more evident than in the baffling disappearance of Emanuela Orlandi. Her case remains one of the most enduring mysteries associated with the Vatican. A young girl's life vanished, a family's hope shattered, the Vatican's silence deafening. The unanswered questions and the lack of closure have left a lasting scar on those who loved her. It was the evening of June 22nd, 1983. A day like any other, yet it would become a date forever etched in the annals of unsolved mysteries. The air in Rome was thick with the scent of jasmine and the promise of a warm summer night. The city was alive with the sounds of laughter and the hum of daily life. Inside the Vatican walls, life continued at its own measured pace, seemingly detached from the vibrancy of the city just beyond. The guards stood vigilant, the gardens serene, unaware of the storm brewing. But on this night, a darkness fell upon the holy city, a shadow that would linger for decades. The sun set behind St. Peter's Basilica, casting long, ominous shadows. Emanuela Orlandi, a 15-year-old girl with bright eyes and a contagious laugh, was due home from her flute lesson. She was a beloved daughter, a cherished friend, and a promising young musician. She had walked the same route countless times, her path a familiar thread in the tapestry of Roman life. The cobblestone streets and ancient buildings were her everyday backdrop. But on this Wednesday evening, Emanuela's journey would take an unexpected and terrifying turn, leading her not home but into the heart of a mystery that continues to haunt the world. The familiar became the unknown, and the safe became the perilous. Her disappearance led her not home but into the heart of a mystery that continues to haunt the world. The dark alleyways and hidden paths of Rome seemed to swallow her whole, leaving behind only questions and sorrow. Emanuela Orlandi was a child of the Vatican, a place steeped in history and mystery. Born into a world where the sacred and the secular coexisted, her life was anything but ordinary. Her father, Ercole Orlandi, was a lay employee of the prefecture of the papal household, his life dedicated to serving the church. His role was crucial, ensuring the smooth operation of the Pope's daily affairs. She lived with her family within the Vatican walls, her world a unique blend of the sacred and the ordinary. The Vatican was not just a place of worship, but also a community, a home where she played and grew up. But on that fateful summer evening, the ordinary vanished, and the sacred became irrevocably intertwined with the unknown. The serene life within the Vatican was shattered by an event that would haunt the city for decades. Earlier that day, Emanuela had attended her usual music lesson at the Tommaso Ludovico da Vittoria School, a renowned music school in the heart of Rome. Music was her passion, a gift she cherished deeply. Her flute, a gift from her beloved father, was her constant companion. It was more than just an instrument, it was a symbol of her dreams and aspirations. Witnesses at the school recalled seeing Emanuela in good spirits, laughing with friends, her melody blending with the joyous cacophony of young musicians honing their craft. She was a bright, happy girl, full of life and promise. As the lesson ended, Emanuela stepped out onto the bustling Piazza Sant'Apollinare. The square was alive with activity, a stark contrast to the quietude of the Vatican. She made a quick phone call to her sister from a public phone booth, mentioning a man who had approached her with an offer to distribute flyers for a cosmetics company. This brief conversation would later become a critical piece of the puzzle. This seemingly insignificant detail would later become a focal point in the investigation, a tantalizing clue in the labyrinthine puzzle of her disappearance. The man and his offer would be scrutinized, but answers remained elusive. The last confirmed sighting of Emanuela placed her at a bus stop near the Pantheon, her flute case by her side. She was waiting, perhaps for a bus, perhaps for something else. Did she board the bus? The question lingered, unanswered, as investigators pieced together the final moments of her known whereabouts. Was she lured into a car, The possibility opened up a myriad of dark scenarios, each more troubling than the last. Did someone she knew offer her a ride? Trust and familiarity could have played a role in her decision, making the mystery even more complex. These questions hung heavy in the air, unanswered, as darkness descended and Emanuela Orlandi vanished without a trace. The Vatican, a place of faith and hope, was now shadowed by an unsolved mystery that would captivate the world. The disappearance of a young girl, especially one residing within the walls of the Vatican, sent shockwaves through Rome and beyond, creating a ripple of concern and fear. The initial reaction was a mixture of disbelief and mounting fear, as the reality of the situation began to sink in. How could a child vanish into thin air in broad daylight in one of the most iconic cities in the world without a trace? The Orlandi family, their world shattered, immediately reported Emanuela's disappearance to the Vatican Gendarmerie, the police force responsible for security within the Vatican City state. The Italian police were also alerted, and a joint investigation was launched, a race against time to find the missing teenager. The search for Emanuela extended from the cobbled streets of Rome to the corridors of power within the Vatican, leaving no stone unturned. Police officers, Vatican gendarmes and volunteers scoured the city, their efforts fueled by a mixture of hope and desperation. Every park, every church, every shadowy corner was searched, every lead meticulously pursued, in the hope of finding a clue. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, with no sign of Emanuela. The initial optimism faded, replaced by a gnawing uncertainty. Where was Emanuela Orlandi? The question echoed through the streets of Rome, a constant reminder of the young life stolen and the truth that seemed to slip further away with each passing day. Section 4 Whispers in the Dark. As the search for Emanuela Orlandi intensified, a wave of speculation and rumors swept through Rome, creating an atmosphere of tension. The case had captured the imagination of the public, and theories, both plausible and outlandish, spread like wildfire, igniting debates. The Vatican's silence on the matter only fueled the flames of suspicion, casting a long shadow over the entire investigation. A series of anonymous phone calls added to the growing sense of unease and mystery surrounding the case. The callers, their voices distorted, and their identities shrouded in mystery, offered cryptic clues, claiming to be holding Emanuela captive and demanding ransoms or the release of Mehmet Ali Agca, the Turkish gunman who had attempted to assassinate Pope John Paul II in 1981. Were these calls genuine, or the cruel taunts of opportunists preying on a family's grief and desperation? As the investigation deepened, the name of the Banda della Magliana, Rome's notorious criminal organization, surfaced with alarming frequency. Whispers of mafia involvement, of a possible connection between Emanuela's disappearance and the Vatican bank scandal, began to circulate widely. Had Emanuela stumbled into a web of organized crime, an innocent victim caught in a power struggle far beyond her comprehension? Section 5. The Vatican Connection. The Vatican, a symbol of faith and spiritual guidance, found itself at the heart of a dark and bewildering mystery. This ancient city, with its towering basilicas and sacred relics, has long been a place of pilgrimage and reverence. Yet beneath its serene exterior, shadows of intrigue and secrecy have always loomed. The disappearance of Emanuela Orlandi, a child residing within its walls, raised uncomfortable questions about the Holy See's role in the affair. Emanuela, a bright and lively teenager, vanished without a trace, leaving her family and the entire Vatican community in a state of shock and disbelief. Was the Vatican complicit in a cover-up? The corridors of power within the Vatican are known for their silence and discretion, but this incident brought an unprecedented level of scrutiny and suspicion. Did they know more than they were willing to reveal? The faces of the officials, often seen in solemn meetings, betrayed a sense of unease, as if the weight of hidden truths was too much to bear. The Vatican's initial response to the crisis was seen by many as hesitant, their silence deafening in the face of mounting public pressure. Journalists from around the world flocked to Vatican City, demanding answers, but were met with vague statements and a lack of concrete information. Rumors swirled of internal conflicts, of factions within the Vatican seeking to protect their own interests. The lush gardens and closed doors of the Vatican became symbols of the secrets that many believed were being kept from the public eye. The Orlandi family, desperate for answers, pleaded with the church to use its influence to bring Emanuela home, their pleas seemingly falling on deaf ears. Vigils were held, candles lit, and prayers offered, but the silence from the Vatican was a stark contrast to the family's cries for help. Adding fuel to the fire were documents leaked from within the Vatican itself that hinted at financial improprieties and potential links between the Vatican Bank and organized crime. These revelations painted a picture of a complex web of corruption and deceit, further complicating the search for the truth. Was Emanuela's disappearance a tragic consequence of these illicit dealings? The presence of police and investigators within the sacred grounds of the Vatican was a jarring sight, raising more questions than answers. Had she become an unwitting pawn in a high-stakes game of power and corruption? The image of a pawn on a chessboard symbolized the larger forces at play, with Emanuela caught in the middle of a dangerous game. The Vatican, for its part, has always maintained its innocence, insisting that it has cooperated fully with the Italian authorities and that it has nothing to hide. Press conferences were held, statements issued, but the air of mystery remained. But for many, the Vatican's pronouncements rang hollow, their assurances failing to quell the growing suspicion that the Church held the key to unlocking the mystery of Emanuela Orlandi's disappearance. The distrustful faces of the crowd outside the Vatican reflected a broader sense of disillusionment and a demand for transparency and justice.